Dear students, in this video I am going to prove the fourth part of algebra of limits, where we are taking this, we are proving this, the fourth part, that means the division part, this division part, limit x tending to a f of x divided by gx is equal to L by m, provided m is not equals to g. Here limit x tending to a f of x is L and limit x tending to a gx is equal to m. So we will prove the fourth part. We have already proved the first, second and third part in previous video. So now to prove the fourth part, first we will prove, so this is our target. What is our target? Our target is to prove that the limit x tending to a f of x divided by gx is L by m. So to prove this, we will utilize this concept. This is already given to you. Limit x tending to a gx is equal to m, which is not equal to 0. So to prove the target, first we will prove this part, that limit x tending to a 1 by gx is 1 by m. So actually what is our aim? Our aim is to show that limit x tending to a f of x divided by gx. So to prove this is equal to L by m. So what we will do one thing. This can be written as f of x into limit x tending to a 1 by gx. Fine. So this can be written as f of x into 1 by gx. So we are finding first this part, because this is already given to you, which is equal to L. So we are finding this part. Fine. So now to find out this part, so we will find this part into two parts. We will again divide this into two parts. So let's see. First, this is already given to you. Limit x tending to a gx is equal to m. Then by the definition of limit, for a given epsilon greater than 0, there exists a delta greater than 0 such that gx minus m is less than epsilon whenever magnitude of x minus a is in between 0 and delta. This is by the condition. So now take magnitude of m. Now add and subtract gx. So this can be rewritten as this part. Now apply the triangle inequality. So this can be rewritten as magnitude of m minus gx, magnitude plus magnitude of gx. Fine. But this can be further rewritten as magnitude of gx minus m. Just interchange these two, plus magnitude of gx. And since both are equal, so that is the equal sign. But according to the condition, by the definition, this is less than epsilon. So this can be replaced by epsilon less than epsilon plus magnitude of gx. And since we use this condition, so that's why we have to impose this condition. Magnitude of x minus a in between 0 and delta. The value of magnitude of x minus a in between 0 and delta. Fine. Now from here, magnitude of m is less than epsilon plus gx. That's why magnitude of gx is greater than this magnitude of m minus epsilon. Just take this epsilon in the left hand side. So this is valid for all values of magnitude ax minus a in between 0 and delta. Now because epsilon is given to you, so you can pick any epsilon. Suppose you are picking epsilon which is greater than magnitude of m by 2. Then again you are able to find out this delta. So just replace this epsilon by epsilon, the value of epsilon which is greater than m by 2 here. So magnitude of gx is greater than magnitude of m minus epsilon by epsilon, but epsilon is greater than this. So this is magnitude of m by 2. And this is greater than, because here we are having this. So when you simplify, we are getting magnitude of m by 2. So the value of magnitude of gx is greater than m by 2. Just replace this value here. So this is valid in between this, for this choice of epsilon. So here magnitude of x minus a is in between 0 and delta. Just interchange, reverse, take the reciprocal. So we are getting 1 by magnitude of gx is less than 2 by magnitude of m. for the values magnitude of x minus a in between 0 and delta. Fine. So this is suppose equation number 1. Take it as it is. Now because we are proving this into two parts, so this is one part. Now the second part. So now for the second part, again take limit extending to a gx is equal to m. Then again apply the same definition. Now in place of epsilon, here we are taking epsilon 1. So just forget this. We will see this why we have taken the value of epsilon 1 this. Just forget this. So given any epsilon 1 greater than 0, there exists a delta greater than 0 such that gx minus m is less than epsilon 1 for the values of x magnitude of x minus a in between 0 and delta. Fine. So this is the condition number 2. But what is our target? Our target is to prove this. That means take magnitude of 1 by gx minus 1 by m, because we want to prove this. So take 1 by gx minus 1 by m, and our aim is to show that this magnitude is less than epsilon. Fine. So now simplify this. So take m gx common in the numerator part, so we get m minus gx in the numerator. This is the denominator, sorry. Fine. So this is equals to, just interchange these two. So magnitude of gx minus m divided by magnitude of m magnitude of gx, using the property of magnitude. Fine. Now but this part from equation number 2 we have taken as less than epsilon 1. So this is epsilon 1, this part, numerator part, divided by this magnitude of m. So divided by magnitude of m into 1 by magnitude of gx. But from equation number 1, 1 by magnitude of gx is less than 2 by magnitude of m. So just replace this value here. So 2 by magnitude of m. And what is our target? Since we have replaced the value of this and this, so we have to impose this condition, and you can see that both conditions are same. Both conditions are same. So that's why this. Or if you are choosing different delta, so you have to take the minimum of delta 1 and delta, minimum of delta 1 and delta 2 is delta. Fine. So if you are, suppose you are choosing here delta 1, here you are choosing delta 2, so you have to take the minimum one. Fine. So ultimately we are getting this condition. Now when you simplify this, so you are getting epsilon 1 into 2 divided by magnitude of m whole square. Now our target is to show that this part is less than epsilon. So let's see, this is epsilon. So from here what will be epsilon 1? Epsilon 1 will be magnitude of m square epsilon divided by 2, and that's why we have choosing this value. Epsilon 1 is selected as this. Fine. So just replace the value of epsilon 1 from here to here, we will get epsilon, or simply just take this as epsilon. Both are same. Fine. So that's why 1 by gx minus 1 by m magnitude is less than epsilon for this choice of magnitude of x minus a in between 0 and delta, and hence limit x tending to a 1 by gx is equal to 1 by m. So we have proved this part. Now but our target is to show that this is equal to L by m. So limit x tending to a f of x divided by gx is equal to limit x tending to a f of x into 1 by gx. This can be further rewritten as, with the help of algebra of limits, limit x tending to a f of x into limit x tending to a 1 by gx. So but this is already given to you L, and this we have already proved as 1 by m. So this is L by m. Fine. So this is the proof of this part. So now algebra of limits is over in terms of epsilon and delta. Now we have the definition of one-sided limits. What is the meaning of one-sided limits? One-sided limits means left hand side limit and right hand side limit. In short, LHL and RHL. So what is left hand side limit? So left hand side limit, a function f is said to tend to a limit L as x tends to a from the left. Here is from the left. If for any given epsilon greater than 0 there exists a delta such that magnitude of f of x minus L is less than epsilon whenever x is lying in between a minus delta to a. In general, definition of limit is this: f of x minus L is less than epsilon whenever your x minus a magnitude is in between 0 and delta. This can be rewritten as, when you open this, so you will get a minus delta to x to a plus delta. But here what is our movement? Our movement, this can be bifurcated into two parts, a minus delta x to a and a to x to a plus delta. When you combine these two, you are getting this inequality. Fine. So here basically in the left hand side limit we are taking this, but in the right hand side limit we are getting this. Fine. So here f of x minus L is less than epsilon whenever a minus delta less than x is less than a. In short, this can be rewritten as limit x tending to a minus, because this quantity is less than a. So to show this quantity which is less than a, we are using the sign a minus. A minus f of x is equals to L. Fine. So rather than using the symbol x tending to a, we are using a minus to show that we are moving from left side. Left side. Fine. So this is this, or f of a minus 0. This is also a minus 0 means we are moving from left. To show this thing, we are using the symbol a minus 0. So a minus 0 is equals to L. It is called the left hand side limit. So basically we are moving from left. That means here, this is your a, this is your a minus delta, this is your a plus delta. So we are moving from here to here, from the left side here. A minus delta to a, this is from left. Fine. So this is the notation a minus. A minus means we are moving from left, or a minus 0. Both are same. Now the right hand side limit. Similarly, a function f is said to tend to a limit L as x tends to a from the right if given any epsilon greater than 0, there exists a delta greater than 0 such that magnitude of f of x minus L is less than epsilon whenever x is lying in between a to a plus delta. So here now we are taking this part, right hand part. So x is staying in between a to a plus delta. In symbolic form, this can be rewritten as limit x tending to a plus. Here we are taking a minus, here we are taking a plus. So a plus f of x equal to L, or f of a plus 0. This is also same, both are same. So a plus 0 is equals to L. It is called the right hand side limit at a. That means here. Now we are moving from here to here, from right to a, a plus delta to a. That's why this is called as right hand side limit. Fine. So note, if limit this exists, limit x tending to a f of x exists, if and only if limit left hand side limit and the right hand side limit both exists and are equal, that means this equation holds if limit exists. Now we will prove this. So we will prove this part. So now this is a theorem. Prove that limit x tending to a f of x exists and is equal to a number L if and only if both left hand limit, that means limit x tending to a minus f of x, and the right hand side limit, that means limit x tending to a plus f of x, exist and are equal to L. That means we have to prove this part. Fine. So let's see how to prove this. So we have to prove this. So now condition is necessary. First, suppose this limit exists. So let limit x tending to a f of x is equal to L. So now we have to show that left hand limit and right hand side limit both are equal to L. First exist and then equal to L. So let's see. Then since this holds, then by the definition for a given epsilon there exists a delta greater than 0 such that limit f of x minus L is less than epsilon when magnitude of x n minus a is in between 0 and delta. Now open this inequality, so we get f of x minus L is less than epsilon whenever a minus delta is less than x is less than a plus delta, and here x is not equal to a because we are finding the limit at extending to a. Fine. So since this is deleted neighborhood, that's why x is not equal to a. If we remove this, then we can take x equal to a, but since this quantity is greater than 0, so we have to avoid a. That's why we have to remove this deleted neighborhood. Fine. So now, since here in this equation x is not equal to a, so we can bifurcate this quantity into two parts. One is from a minus delta to a, another is from a to a plus delta, like this, because this quantity is, there is a hole here, so we can take a minus delta to a and a to a plus delta. So we have written this into two equations. F of x minus L is less than epsilon when a minus delta is less than x is less than a, and second is magnitude of f of x minus L is less than epsilon when x varies from a to a plus delta. This is 1, this is 2. Basically first equation is nothing but the LHL, second equation is nothing but the RHL. So that's why from 1 and 2 we can say that limit x tending to a minus, that means left hand side limit of f of x, and limit x tending to a plus f of x, that means right hand side limit, both exist and are equal to L. So this is the one part. Now the second part, condition is sufficient. So suppose left and right hand side limit both exists and equal to L. So limit x tending to a plus, that means right hand side limit f of x is equal to L is equals to limit x tending to a minus 0, that means left hand side limit. So both are same and equal to L. Then by the definition of left hand side limit and right hand side limit, if this is so, then we can say that for any choice of epsilon there exists some delta 1 greater than 0 and delta 2. This is for say RHL, this is for the LHL. This is for right hand side limit, this is for left hand side limit. So if for a given choice of epsilon we can find delta 1 and delta 2 greater than 0, then by the right hand side limit f of x minus L is less than epsilon when x varies from a to a plus delta 1, that means this part. And for the left hand side limit f of x minus L is less than epsilon when x varies from a minus delta 2 to a. Now we can combine these two. So what is the way? Just take the minimum. Delta is minimum of delta 1 and delta 2. If this holds, then obviously delta is less than equal to delta 1 as well as delta is less than equal to delta 2, because delta is the minimum of these two. So now here we are having a plus delta 1. So just add a both sides here. So we are having a plus delta is less than a plus delta 1. Similarly here we are having a minus delta 2. So first multiply by minus sign and then taking a, adding a. So what we get a minus delta is greater than equal to a minus delta 2. पहले माइनस से मल्टीप्लाई किया दोनों, फिर दोनों साइड a से एडिशन किया, तो we are getting this. Fine. So now from equation number 3, f of x minus L is less than epsilon when this now becomes, because a plus delta 1, this a plus delta is less than equal to a plus delta 1, but this quantity is also greater than a because delta is generally positive. So ये a से बड़ा भी है. So obviously here we are getting x in between a to a plus delta, and this is greater than equal to a plus delta 1, and there is no need to write down this. Fine. Similarly second part, here a minus delta 2, this a minus delta is greater than equal to a minus delta 2, and this quantity is also less than a because delta is positive quantity. That's why magnitude of fx minus L is less than epsilon when a minus delta is less than x minus a. तो हमने यहाँ पे भी रिप्लेस कर दिया a माइनस डेल्टा से, यहाँ पर भी रिप्लेस कर दिया a प्लस डेल्टा से. So this is so. Now combine these two. So in a single line we can write down this. Magnitude of f of x minus L is less than epsilon. This quantity both are same. When now combine these two, so a minus delta to x to a plus delta, and we have to write down this condition. Essentially x is not equals to a because neither a is involved here nor a is involved here. Both are less than. That's why when you combine this, so we are having this f of x minus L is less than epsilon when magnitude of x minus a is in between 0 and delta. This is deleted neighborhood because a is deleted, and this is nothing but limit extending to a f of x equal to L, and so limit exists. Fine. So this is the theorem. Fine. So today this is over. Now we will take next part in the next theorem. Thank you.